All right. I'm hoping that we are live and
People with eating disorders in the chat.
uh-oh, stuff is just happening here. Okay. Um, yes. All right. It's good to see you all today. I want to see if I can get this going really fast. Boy, oh boy, I'm way behind. I'm supposed to be picking up my daughter shortly, so I got to make this really fast. But we have this week in supervision, and we take the opportunity in this week in supervision to discuss some of the things that we experience in supervision. A lot of people are going through our supervisor training, and they are trying to learn what to do when they come out. And so we have this week in supervision to help us to understand what's some of the things that we can present to our supervisees once we come out. And so I do want to highlight, and I'm going to see if this thing will let me share. I didn't do well last week, but I do want to highlight our training that we have. For those of you all who are looking for to become clinical supervisors, we have a training coming up on the 23rd. Actually, Monday and Tuesday, we have a training coming up. So we want to invite everybody to come out to our training. This will be the last time that you can get this training if you have not received 2 years of clinical supervision. You would have to, 2 years of post-licensure practice. If you have not experienced 2 years of post-licensure practice on June 1st, you will not be able to just jump right into this training. But this is it. This is how you book. I want to move forward because I need to make this quick here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we talked about in supervision today, and talking on the subject of what causes people to snap, what causes individuals to snap. And we know that there are a number of things that can occur that causes someone to snap. Right. When we talk about somebody snapping, we're talking about what causes someone to go off on the deep end. Oh, I was supposed to do that fancy thing to put anyway. What causes people to go off on the deep end many times? What causes them to have unusual functioning that causes issues with their social, occupational, and interpersonal concerns to where they just can't do the things that they need to do. And some we talked about in supervision about we tried to explore some of the things that leads up to this, because it's important to have an understanding of that in order to know how to treat it. If you're trying to treat something as if this is the only thing and there's not something that actually led up to it, I'm a kind of biased with Freud. I believe in psychic determinism, meaning that anything that happens for a reason, and it wasn't just coincidence. I like to see the build and understand the build. But some of the triggers that lead someone to snap are the same experiences that leads to or crisis in the loss of a job are the same things that lead into other dysfunctions as well. So you have someone who has experienced, who goes off the deep end. A lot of times the thing that takes them off the deep end is the same thing that leads someone to situations that we'll talk about in just a second. But if somebody is snapping, if we talked about try to get the supervisees to understand what's beneath someone who snaps, what's causing them to snap, because we can't just be on the surface. What built this up, right? And sometimes the things that lie beneath the surface, what we try to get them to identify or inadequacy feelings. So we can have a crisis that causes us to go in this direction. But sometimes when there's not even a crisis or a loss of a job and I end up snapping, there are some underlying things that the therapist needs to be understanding, that we got to rule out if some of these things exist and are contributing to the crisis that they experience becoming worse, or maybe the primary reason for it. I better keep going. So some people are feeling, Iyanla calls them the uns. We want to see if they have some feelings of feeling unwanted, unloved, unlovable, unaccepted, unimportant, unattractive, unworthy. What's the impact of stress in their lives? People that just go off the deep end, a lot of times they have a lot of stress in their lives. Sometimes as therapists, we can mistaken things and just look at the bad actions. For instance, if a man is physically abusive towards the woman, a lot of times we're just looking at the bad action, and that's good because we need to make sure that the woman is safe. But a lot of times it's not that. It's just telling them not to do that is not going to be the solution. We've got to know what lies beneath. And a lot of times these right here are they're very insecure, and we won't get too deep into that. So I wanted to make the quote: the body has no skilled way of leading someone into dysfunction or pathology. It chooses as it please. So the body has no skilled way of leading someone into dysfunction or pathology. In other words, when we see someone who is experiencing dysfunction or pathology, they have gotten there and they had no say in it. They didn't have the choice. The same thing that led someone into just snapping or going off the deep end is the same cause or reason why someone might start to hoard. It could be a crisis. It could be a loss of a job. The body doesn't give us the ability to just choose if it's going to be a lesser type of pathology, a pathology that's not so severe versus a pathology that's more severe. And so you can have the same problems leading someone to snap or to go off the deep end that causes someone to hoard, or causes somebody to have impulse shopping, that has somebody to be paranoid about just whatever. I was listening to this podcast, and the girl just started getting paranoid because someone had robbed her home, and then she started having near delusions just as a result of that. A lot of times there has been pre-existing things functioning that causes someone to have a worse reaction to a bad situation. We'll have a lot of time to talk about that with no time. Drugs, alcohol, active phase symptoms of schizophrenia, or positive symptoms of schizophrenia, and eating disorders. And that's what we want to get to in the eating disorders. What I did is I like to challenge the group, and I challenged them on a few questions, and I wanted them to get the understanding that when it comes to pathology, there's a lot of means and causes for it, and so we don't want to put things in a box. And so the question that you might want to ask something like, is body image, when we're talking about eating disorders, we're transitioning a little. I talked about a lot of stuff. Is body image and preoccupation with food the primary concerns for individuals with eating disorders such as anorexia? See, sometimes this, again, we get lost on the symptom. The symptoms. Somebody comes in, they beat their wife. We're just focusing on that. Okay. Someone comes in with an eating disorder. We're just focused on that. And so I played a video that kind of emphasized this a little bit. What concerns might we need to consider that need to be targeted or ruled out? And I'm going to see if it's going to play this video this time. Last week, we didn't do too well, but we're going to put this on speed.
Don't want
because I'm running out of time.
We like to think like, oh, that would never happen to me. Any one of us could develop. People with eating disorders in general don't want eating disorders. We like to think like, oh, that would never happen to me. Any one of us could develop an eating disorder. We're no different. I'm Ashley McCann, and I'm a therapist in Jacksonville, Florida. I work with an eating disorder center and in private practice. Individuals with anorexia, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, all of these individuals with eating disorders likely experience a considerable amount of preoccupation with food. What I'm going to eat, what I'm not going to eat, when and where. It might be feeling that I don't belong or I don't fit unless my body looks a certain way. But it's not that is really what the person is looking for. What the person is looking for is a sense of belonging, of connection, of love, feeling worthy or valuable, of feeling safe or secure. Oh, there's so many. They're about vanity, that they're simply about food, that people should just be able to stop, that people are different than us. ARFID is an acronym that stands for...
Okay, I gotta stop it. I'm about to get in trouble. I gotta go pick up my daughter. So let me see if I can stop her. Okay, so look, y'all. I don't know if y'all caught that. Let me get back to the share here. Get back to the share. Okay. So I don't know if y'all caught that. And so this is what I like to bring video because it's really helpful for the group. But I showed the whole video to them, but then we processed it a little bit, and I start challenging them on what I just stopped at. When she started talking about reasons why people end up having eating disorders is really interesting and compelling, this expert on the reasons why. And so what you might want to do is throw out a question like this: when the therapist described the concerns that we should be looking for, what theory did she draft her answers from? In other words, and I just made this up. In other words, when she said that, okay, well, there's some other things that's going on. And she mentioned a few things. What theory was she? I don't know if y'all caught that. What theory was she referencing? Some of the reasons why people end up having eating disorders. And it has Freud, Maslow, Erickson, Marshall Lyon. It's actually, the answer is B. She was quoting off Maslow. And so here I help the supervisees to understand good ways of memorizing Maslow. So we transition into Maslow, and I'll credit this to Quenisha. I forgot her last name. Quenisha, one of my supervisees, helped me to come up with this mnemonic, or she came up with the mnemonic. I've been using it. And it's a quick way to remember the hierarchy of needs with Maslow. So that's another interesting thing that also helps them get ready for tests and use practical situations. So the mnemonic is PS, love yourself. What she's discussed, she said they have a need for belongingness, connection, love, safety, and security. And this is why they resort to eating disorders. Isn't that interesting? But that's Maslow. Maslow, his starting from the bottom of the pyramid, psychological needs, safety, love, and belongingness. That would be these would be equal to love and belongingness, esteem, and self-actualization. So how you remember that is PS is physiological. Then you got safety, love, and belongingness, and that's your esteem. Okay. And then self is self-actualization. All right. I hope this is helpful. I got to go. And I hope this shows on all the streaming platforms. I'm trying to get the show on, but I've got to go. Y'all have a blessed weekend and take care. All right.